Heatwave took place tonight in Lowell, Massachusetts at Lowell Memorial Auditorium in front of a crowd which had some interesting reactions to some of the matches, especially near the end. And I'd say in the last couple of matches, they were much harder than they were early in the show and in the middle. But we'll get to that as we run down the card. They had the Countdown to Heatwave show, which I decided to skip. Just had no interest in watching it. Saw some highlights on X. Nothing really to write home about. And I wanted to make this note because today, August 24th, is now the 1 month anniversary since the death of Hulk Hogan, who passed away on July 24th. Now there's been a lot of controversy surrounding his death. In particular, there's the autopsy, which I believe his daughter Brooke has been really pushing for. You can find it. There's a whole bunch of news articles about his death now and all the controversy. Don't really want to get into it. This is supposed to be a review, but you can definitely read that story. So I just wanted to make that note, and rest in peace to the Hulkster. 1 month now since he passed away. And today is also now the 2-year anniversary of the death of Bray Wyatt, who passed away on August 24th of 2023, only 36 years old. Definitely wanted to bring this up. I still remember where I was when I first saw Triple H's tweet confirming Bray's untimely death. And still definitely a death that really shook me. And his work, I'm glad his work is living on through the Wyatt Six, and they're definitely continuing his legacy and honoring Bray Wyatt. So rest in peace, Wyndham Rotunda, also known as the one and only Bray Wyatt. And it's also the 80th birthday to the man who I think you might have heard of him, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He had quite the birthday party last night at Gotham Hall in New York with several attendees, obviously including himself, but you had in attendance JBL, John Cena, Sheamus, R-Truth, The Undertaker, and Michelle McCool. You also had Kane, Shane McMahon, and Bruce Pritchard, all celebrating the big 8-0 for VKM, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. So, happy birthday to Vince. Now, Heatwave started off with several stars arriving to the auditorium in Lowell. This is just outside of Boston. I think it's a suburb. I'll be honest, if I pronounced the city name wrong, I apologize. I haven't really heard much about it. I just know I guess it's probably just like a suburb of Boston or something. Anyway, you had the opening video package after we saw wrestlers arriving, and you started off with the women's triple threat number 1 contenders match. Jaida Parker's out first, got a decent pop. Kelani Jordan was out next, and her parents were in the front row, and I immediately thought to myself, and when I saw Kalani's parents in the front row, I thought, she's winning, and I picked her to win in my predictions, and that didn't go so well for me. And last out was Lola Vice, who I thought of the three, I don't want to say the least over of the three, but it definitely seemed like. And I guess being the least over gives you good luck in Lowell tonight. So we had the triple threat match. Jaida Parker, Kelani Jordan, Lola Vice. Jaida, the fan favorite early on. I did like the intimate setting of the show. A quieter crowd. It's been a while since they've been outside of an auditorium for a PLE or even an NXT special show on a Tuesday. I think the last arena show probably was the WrestleMania show, Stand and Deliver in Vegas. I think that's the last time, because it feels like all the other shows, maybe Battleground, I'm not sure if I even remember, but I'm definitely in the Great American Bash. That was an auditorium show as well. It's been a while since they've been in an arena, but you definitely do have the more intimate setting, and I like how different it looks from all the other shows, so I appreciate that. Kelani, she's obviously incredibly athletic. She's really something to watch. She definitely has a lot of potential, as is Jaida. And they got this awesome chant early on. It was a hot match to start. Good match to start off, because I think all three are over to an extent, some more than others. You had a Tower of Doom spot, which Kelani took the brunt of. She took the worst fall of. And in the end, you had Kelani, it looked like she was going to finish off Lola Vice with a split-legged moonsault. Instead, she goes to the top rope, hits a splash, and Lola counters her into a submission hold. And then what happens is Jaida Parker hits her move. It's not the rear view, but it's kind of like the hip attack. And it takes out Kelani, like knocks her out as she was in the submission. And then Lola Vice rolls up Jaida Parker, and Lola Vice pins Jaida Parker, defeats her, gets a surprise win. I thought she was the least likely to win of the three, but she won after she rolled up Jaida Parker. And Lola Vice is going to face Jayne now at No Mercy. No Mercy was announced later on. I definitely don't think she's beating Jayne, but she is next in line to get another shot at the NXT Women's Championship. I think the last time she got a shot was against Roxanne Perez, which she lost. We got a long-ass Evolve video package. I don't care. I don't care about Evolve. I'm not watching it. I'm sick of them using NXT to push all this other shit, man. It's really annoying. We get a culling video promo. There's nothing wrong with it. I just don't know why this couldn't have just been on Tuesday. Why do we have to do it here? No one really wants to see this as we watch a PLE. We saw Jordynne Grace make up in the back before her match against Blake Monroe later tonight. We got the NXT Tag Team Championship up next. Hank and Tank defended their belts against DarkState. DarkState sucks. Fire DarkState. They're all shit. I don't give a shit about this. They've killed the tag division. Tag division's been dead. I mean, a lot of things happened. They decided to break them up. Decided to call up Fraxium to the main roster, which you can't blame down on Shawn Michaels. But then they decide to, before that actually, that's when they broke up Chase U, who were a tag team in the division. And then they break up the Family, who were another tag team in the division. So you're left with nothing but DarkState and Hank and Tank. And I like Hank and Tank, they're solid, but man, DarkState, I have a bad feeling they're going to hold the belts for a while. They're going to try to get these guys over. It just reeks of like 4 football guys from their NIL program who are definitely they're desperately looking for something for them to do, and they want to push them because they're big, and they want to attract other people by pushing them to see, hey, you can become an NXT champion, come wrestle for WWE. And it just sucks. It just feels like there's other priorities there instead of putting on the best product for NXT and the people who watch weekly, because DarkState is absolute dog shit. I don't give a shit about this match. Hank and Tank were solid, but they lost their belts. DarkState members kept getting involved, and they won, and it's disgusting. They gave these fucking bums, they gave these losers, these jokes, these bums, these idiots, DarkState, Retribution 2.0. They let them win with the Doomsday device, the Road Warrior finish. Fuck that. These guys suck. Backstage, Ava is talking to Lexis King in her office. She makes a blindfold match on Tuesday against Miles Bourne, so that's in response to him like spraying liquid in Miles' face on Tuesday. And those are usually some of the worst matches, blindfold matches, but we'll see what they pull off this Tuesday. It's usually the heel goes over in those matches. They announced No Mercy will take place on September 27th, and that's a big show. I think it's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, I believe was the location, so NXT in Florida makes sense. And September 27th. Lola Vice is going to face Jayne on that show for the NXT Women's Championship. It's confirmed. And then, speaking of Jayne, she defended her TNA Knockouts World Championship in a triple threat match against Masha, Slamovich, and Ash by Elegance. So Ash was out first with her group, I think the Elegance brand, and then you had Masha, Slamovich all out alone. And then Jayne comes out with Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix of Fatal Influence. They do the big entrance. And you had Carlos Silva in the crowd. Fans were mostly into Masha to start, but then they really start to get into Jacy, and Jacy was definitely the most over. You had Jasmine taking a cheap shot at Ash, causing Fatal Influence to be ejected. The Elegance brand pulled Jacy out of the ring after she hit her finisher on Masha, and after that, Ash takes advantage, hits a Swanton bomb onto Masha. Ash by Elegance pins Masha Slamovich to win the TNA Knockouts Championship. So you have Ash by Elegance winning a TNA title in a WWE ring, and that's significant because this is Dana Brooke, who I believe debuted for NXT around 10 years ago now, and she didn't do much on the main roster. It was kind of a flop. Ended back up in NXT, then she was released a couple years ago, and 2 years ago around, since she was released, she's back in a WWE ring, albeit signed to a different company, and she wins a title, a TNA title, in a WWE ring. So congratulations to Ash by Elegance. better known as Dana Brooke to most people. She's your TNA Knockouts champion. Ricky Saints was talking to Von Evans before his match tonight. They announced Halloween Havoc on October 25th. We're definitely going to get that spooky pay-per-view. It's too bad they couldn't do it. I don't know when exactly what day Halloween is. I think it's Friday, so it's going to be a Saturday. Too bad Halloween wasn't on Saturday. Could have done it right on Halloween night, Halloween Havoc on Halloween night. I don't think they've ever done that. That would have been really cool to do a PLE right on Halloween night. It would have been scary, cool. Couldn't do it, but October 25th is Halloween Havoc. Next, we go to Jordynne Grace against Blake Monroe. I thought Blake got the bigger pop when they made their entrances, but fans were into Jordynne. They definitely played it up. They weren't cheering for the heel here like they were in the next match, but here they like Jordynne, but yeah, I think they probably like Blake a little bit more, and they realize she has more star potential than Jordynne does on the main roster. So Blake Monroe gets the heat early on. She works on Jordynne's arms and on her arm, and the announcers they tell the story of it being she's targeting Jordynne's arms to take away her strength advantage, so she can't hit power moves. She hit power moves anyway, but I mean, I like the whole story of the match. It's a way of Blake's role. Her tactic as a heel is to negate the advantage Jordynne has, which is her strength. And you had Jordynne eventually rallied. She hit several power moves onto Blake. All looked great, and Blake's definitely bumping hard here. She's slamming her into the ground. And, Blake Monroe, she's really something. She can bump, and Jordynne just seems like she's really laying it in, like really slamming her. And the bottom ring turnbuckle is exposed. I think Jordynne's going for like a German suplex or something, or she's like lifting Blake up, and Blake rips off the ring turnbuckle as she was trying to hold on so she doesn't get slammed. And that would come into play later on. Match was just really good. Crowd was hot, but I thought they could have been a little bit more into it. But as the match went on, they really got into it. And there was a "This is awesome" chant. Jordynne Grace eventually hits an incredible top rope powerbomb onto Blake Monroe. Looks like that could be it, but Blake kicks out at 2. And then eventually she hits she sends Jordynne into the turnbuckle. Jordynne blocks it with her hands. She grabs her Rose, but then Blake kicks Jordynne's head right into the turnbuckle, knocking her out. She then hits a double arm DDT and pins Jordynne Grace. Blake Monroe with her biggest win since being signed in NXT. She defeats Jordynne Grace at Heatwave, getting a big win. And I thought it should have been for the belt. It should have been Jordynne Grace losing the NXT Women's title to Blake Monroe after she beat Stephanie Vaquer at Battleground. That's really should have happened here. It so annoys me that they didn't do that, but Blake Monroe does defeat Jordynne Grace here. Should have been for the belt. I think the match would have been even bigger. They promote WrestleMania tickets, of course, showing us the Vegas Strip. Then we see Jaida Parker in a doctor's office, and Lash Legend gets in her face, mocks her for a loss, and she wants a title shot. Jaida stands up to her. Definitely Jada's the babyface, and they're really playing into it because she has a lot of potential. I think people just like Jaida Parker. Sarah Schreiber is interviewing Jacy Jayne backstage, who is very upset. She says Sarah's a fake reporter or something, and then she throws Jasmine Nix under the bus after the loss. It looks like they're trying to turn Jasmine face now, and she's upset, and Fallon wants to stay out of it. Lola Vice walks in, and she's ready for Jacy Jayne. She faces her at No Mercy, and then Soruk and Zarya come out, and they come in action, and they back up Lola Vice. I guess that's a 6-woman tag they're setting up for Tuesday, and they also mock Jacy for her loss, and Sol brings up that she's a double champion, and she's a speed champion, and that would come into play later. They announced NXT Homecoming to Full Sail University on September 16th. I'm pumped up for that. That's awesome. Really happy to see them come back to Full Sail, the home of NXT, the black and gold era, and it looks like they have the old NXT logo. I'm sure we'll see several stars from the main roster who were on NXT black and gold appear. That'll definitely be really cool. We go to the mixed tag team match. Ethan Page and Chelsea Green of Canada taking on Tavion Heights and Tyra May Steele of the United States. And the fans in Lowell and Massachusetts, man, they were definitely behind the Canadians here. And it wasn't really a Canada thing. They just loved Chelsea Green. They were really into her. She's the heel, and she's supposed to be the foreign Canadian menace. I mean, Shawn Michaels probably books that. And we know why he wants to book that, but they love Chelsea Green, and the American babyfaces are getting booed heavily in favor of the Canadian heels. Ethan Page turns heel on the crowd, and they played it up. They didn't like Ethan Page that much, but I mean, they really just love Chelsea Green. I've never seen Chelsea Green that over before, and it's really more about her than Ethan Page. And she was just super. The crowd was just super into everything she did. They went nuts for her. And Secret Hervis gets involved near the match. Alba hits a super kick on Tyra May Steele as the ref distracted. Chelsea Green hits the unprettier onto Tyra for the win, and the heels get the win here. It wasn't really much of a match, just the crowd reaction and they were just so into the heels. You don't really see matches like that anymore in WWE in 2025. That just made it more interesting. I think the crowd actually elevated this match while they were just not into. So that was, I don't know, that's just what I thought about that match. They had definitely the most surprising, I guess, reaction of the whole show was that match. And I don't really think Chelsea Green's probably done in NXT now. I think she just heads back to the main roster. And yeah, the Secret Hervis are feuding with Alexa and Charlotte now for the women's tag belts. So they promote Worlds Collide, which is on September 12th. They just love showing us the Vegas Strip ahead of WrestleMania. They want everyone to see the Vegas Strip to sell WrestleMania tickets, which I'm sure the prices are going to be twice as high as they were from last year. I think they go on sale in exactly 1 month on September 24th. Josh Briggs is talking to Oba Femi backstage. I really hope they don't go to this soon. Don't give a shit. This sucks. This feud sucks. I guess Josh Briggs is feuding with Ricky Saints when their faces Oba Femi, probably at No Mercy. I think Javon, we'll get to that later. I think he'll get a shot, just not at No Mercy. Sarah Schreiber's interviewing Ava Wright in her office. Ava announced that she's bringing in the Speed titles to NXT. Then she brings in Sol Ruka, who is the Speed champion, tells her she's defending her belt on No Mercy, and it's going to be against main roster opponents. That's why they got rid of the Heritage Cup. That's why it's gone. So they have the Speed title on NXT. No more. It's not going to be on X anymore. It's going to be on NXT. They promote NXT, which is this Tuesday. They run down some of the matches. We go to our main event, NXT Championship. Oba Femi defends against Javon Evans. Javon is taped up after the fall he took in his match against Trick Williams this past Tuesday when he was launched through the announce booth. Same thing happened here, but we'll get to that. So Oba gets the heat early on. He's working over Javon. It's not as much of a Javon crowd. And it surprised me because they haven't been building up Javon's epic title journey like that you would expect them to. I think they'll do that eventually. There's not much here. So really a lot of it was Oba Femi. The crowd were into him. It wasn't like they were booing Javon like they did the last match. But, I mean, it was like a 50-50 split crowd. And I think you need to build up Javon more before he can get that defining major title win against Oba Femi. And Oba really got the heat early on. You had dueling chants. The story of the match is power versus speed. Oba's power, his strength against the speed, the agility, the high-flying ability of one Javon Evans. Javon is also known as the bouncy one. It's his theme song. So you had Oba counter the springboard from Javon. It's a springboard cutter. He counters it with just this brutal uppercut. It looked great. Made a loud noise. You had the big spot where they're on the top rope and Oba Femi launches Javon Evans off the top rope, but he lands on the referee and it knocks out the ref. And I'm thinking, Javon can take these spots where he just gets thrown around like a javelin, but I mean, he's 21. In a few years, if he keeps taking these bumps, he's just not going to be able to do it anymore. So he has to be careful with how many of them he takes. And the big spot here is Oba Femi launches Javon Evans out of the ring. It's like a suplex attempt. He throws him out of the ring, and he launches him so far he smashes through the announce booth. Holy shit. Oh, my God. Crazy moment of the night. Insane spot. I don't know if it wasn't as good as the one on Tuesday, though. The one on Tuesday had much more distance where, like, Trick launches Javon like a javelin. Here, it's more of Oba throwing him with a suplex, but he throws him far and he smashes through the table. It looked great anyways. He throws him back in the ring, and Oba Femi hits the fall from grace, defeats Javon Evans, retains the NXT Championship in a hell of a main event, so Oba Femi stands tall. Ricky Saints then comes out at the end of the show, confronts Oba Femi, gets in his face. He was just giving Javon advice. Now I guess he's in line for the next title shot. So he's I guess it'll be Ricky Sainz against Josh Briggs, a number 1 contenders match. Winner faces Oba Femi. I think Ricky will win. I think he'll face Oba probably at No Mercy. I still think they're going to do Javon Evans beating Oba Femi. They wouldn't have done the ref spot if they weren't going to build up to that later. And I think eventually Javon Evans will dethrone Oba Femi. It just wasn't going to be at this show. So we'll see what happens next. Heatwave, it's really a C-level show, as I said in my prediction show, and it was. But it had 2 good matches. The main event was really good. Women's match, Jordynne Grace and Blake Monroe, was really good. And the women's triple threat match I thought was good to start the show. So we had some good matches. The other 3 matches were just TV matches that happened to be on the NXT PLE. So that's what it was. It's definitely not. It's certainly not the TakeOver era. It's been 10 years since NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, the first time they did a TakeOver show outside of Full Sail, which they're coming back to in a few weeks. But it's definitely not that era of NXT anymore. But overall, I thought this was a fine show. It was okay. You can watch it. It's nothing wrong with it. Just a show. And I feel like they can do a lot better. They've had a lot of guys get called up to the main roster and a lot of girls get called up to the main roster. That's hurt both divisions. But we'll see what they do next. I thought it was a fine show tonight.